This is a post-lunch interview, just so you know. Jake is kind of like a tranquilizer bear, but yeah. So this is Jacob.Montague with Liberty Mutual. Met Jake, I think we just figured out 2.5 years ago. We both joined Synapse, which is a local networking group here in Richmond, and Jake is one of my insurance guys with Liberty Mutual, and so I wanted to bring him in today for the RVA Real Estate channel, give him a chance to kind of let us know who he is, what he does, how he can help, and after that, anything else we want to talk about. Thanks for coming, bud.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
Good?
So yeah, doing good. A little bit of post-lunch, like you said. Sleepy time.
Itis?
Yeah, so the itis, got the itis. But yeah.
Looking forward to Blacksburg tomorrow?
Looking forward to Blacksburg tomorrow.
Right.
Go Hokies.
Yeah, bring all your clothes. So, as a loan officer, I need good, dependable people in all roles, but primarily with insurance. And Jake's been one of our partners here for a bit. So, a couple of points I asked him to kind of pick 2 or 3 things that he thinks are important, and I had a couple things, and we can sort of narrow it down. So, first off, you're at Liberty Mutual over, where's your office located?
We're over off Knuckles Road, Concourse Boulevard.
Concourse Boulevard.
Glen Allen.
And we will put all Jake's contact info if you have any insurance questions. Real quickly, you can answer residential, auto.
Residential, auto, pet insurance.
Pet, right?
Some small commercial, and life and annuities.
Okay.
So all your insurance needs.
Well done.
Yeah.
So if you need help with any of that, Jake's information is around here somewhere, and I'll probably have it on the screen later. All right, so we were talking a little bit at lunch, a couple things that you thought were important. I'll let you just kind of take it from the top.
Okay. So yeah, like we were talking about at lunch, pretty much brokering agent. So I shop it out to multiple companies. Everybody wants the best price. But the biggest thing you want to focus on, especially with this being the biggest asset for most folks,
right.
Unless you're independently wealthy, if you are, can you spare me a few bucks? You want to make sure your house is insured correctly. I think one of the big things we had talked about was the cost to insure per square footage. That can work in 2 different ways. That's a misconception with the first-time home buyers. You really want to look at it, whatever the coverage A you're getting back on quotes for your home purchase, or you want to have $125 per square foot at minimum. Really, the sweet spot is usually in that 140 to 150 range. Now, older home. That being said, older homes are going to be more expensive to rebuild or replace, because the old homes, those old Craftsmans from the 40s and 50s, those are solid brick. They've got plaster. They've got the older timbers in them. Those are going to be more expensive. But the newer builds, especially if you go to a builder, they're going to tell you this is the breakdown, the cost to rebuild. So that's something to really focus on. Make sure that you have that per square footage number lodged in your head, and then looking at your deductibles, making sure that those are going to fit if the worst case scenario happens, because that's what happens. Insurance is there when the worst case happens, that you have a deductible that's going to work for you. There's a lot of different carriers out there. Some will give you a flat deductible, some will give you a percentage deductible, especially on wind and hail. Wind and hail is probably, with water backup, the 2 most common claims in the state of Virginia right now that I see on a regular basis. Which leads me to my next point, water backup. I don't care if you don't have a basement. It's Richmond. There's not a lot of basements here. You need to have water backup. It's the 2nd most common claim. Even if you do somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 grand, that's going to be enough for Surf Pro to come up and do the cleanup. If you have a pipe burst, water shoots back up through your drain, something like that, you need to have that coverage. And it's not a standard deductible coverage. But it is.
No, it's not.
It is not.
So,
but every company offers it. But you have to ask, which is also the importance of having a local agent that can tell you that, even if it's not me. Talk to somebody, because especially having a local person that kind of knows the ins and outs of what comes through here, they're going to tell you that every time. So.
Yeah, I knew nothing and still barely know anything about insurance, which is why I lean on guys like Jake so heavily. But I had a guy that we know at the time before I met you look at my policy.
Okay, that's all right.
And I did not have water backup. Thought I did. Kind of understood the importance of it, but just assumed. I was with one of the bigger, if not the biggest, carriers in the country, and
they do a little bit of farming.
they a little bit, maybe, and didn't have it. So I mean, if I have a water backup in the second story, master bath, and it floods, I wasn't covered. So that's one of the things that kind of got me interested into looking deeper into it and learning more about it. But by all means, check your policy, and when you're getting one, I think for especially first time home buyers, they have no idea. They don't, and nor should they.
And nor should you.
Right.
Yeah, if you've never experienced this before, it's like when you're 18, 20, 21, and you're a kid, and it's your first time getting your own auto insurance. You don't know what any of that stuff means.
Right.
So I mean, it's a learning experience.
But it's a deductible. What's that mean?
Yeah.
What?
Deductible.
So, talk about deductibles real quick. So it can make a difference in your overall monthly payment. So with your mortgage, we're assuming it's a fixed rate. That's not going to change, but things can change. One's going to be your real estate taxes. That's a separate video. But the other is your homeowner's insurance. 99.9% of people are going to have that as part of their overall monthly mortgage payment. Part of that payment, we collect it for you, and then when it's time to renew your policy, we'll send it off to Liberty Mutual or whomever. But so explain the difference, so the minimum deductible is usually what?
The standard in our state, most people go with $1,000.
$1,000,
yeah.
Right? But the smallest you get is like $500.
Some companies leave and still do the $250.
Really? Okay.
But that's going to push the premium.
So it's a balancing act.
So it's a balancing act. What you're comfortable with.
So if you're comfortable, say, if something bad happened, tree falls in your house, and you're comfortable coming out of pocket $2,500, take that deductible because your monthly payment is going to be lower.
That's lowered your monthly payment, but make sure you're maybe pushing a little bit of that money
that
you saved on that premium off into a savings account, so
Right.
the worst case scenario.
Exactly. But conversely, standard $1,000, your payment's going to be a little bit higher each month, but you're not going to have to come out of pocket if a tree falls in your house or whatever.
Again, balancing act.
Right, and that's where you'll take the time, and I've seen this personally. Jake will do this. He's not going to sell you a policy to sell you a policy. I don't know about other agents, but of the few that I work with, I trust him to do the right thing. And Jake's one of them that's shown. Yeah, he might get a bigger payday if he gives you certain policy, but he's really going to give you the policy that's right for you, based upon what you need. And I think one of the things we were talking about at lunch that even I'm always not fully versed on, I call it the 20% thing. Like, I've seen it on your policies. I don't really pay much attention because I trust you enough, but there's a 20%.
Oh yeah.
But it's a rebuild or?
It's an extended replacement cost, and some people have a cute thing for it, and we do. So I'll go ahead and call it out. It's called our Home Protector Plus. Right. So the value of your home, almost always, especially in Richmond and the surrounding metropolitan, the value of your home is going to go up over time. So it's essentially inflation protection. We're going to give you 20% on top of your Coverage A dwelling rebuild replacement coverage extra. So you have that built in. And also that protects you in the case of if that house burns to the ground, which that stuff still happens, we're not only going to rebuild and replace it, but you've got that extra coverage now. That'll cover all the refuse being towed out of there, hauled out of there for you. As opposed to you having to pay for that out of your pocket, which could be a pretty penny. So that's a big difference, and this is the one thing I will harp on, and I don't know an agent out there that wouldn't put that on there, but I have seen this is very common with call center home policies that I see. They're order takers. It's McDonald's of insurance. They're just like, okay, you want the best price? Okay, here, and you get a very bare bones, as opposed to an agent's actually going to go through and make sure, hey, this is on here and this is why. Because I don't ever want to be the agent. Most of the agents I've come across don't ever want to be the agent that happens to their client, and their client's like, why is this? This is my worst day, or one of my worst days, and this stuff isn't being covered for me. So that extra, always make sure that you have that extra. It'll be called inflation protection. It'll be called extended home rebuild replacement coverage, whatever it is. You'll see an extra. Sometimes some companies will even give you up to $2,550. It depends on the company.
Right.
But yeah, make sure you have that on there. That's huge.
Yeah. So basically, if you bought a house in, let's just say Scott's Addition 5 years ago, it's worth a lot more than it is now.
It's worth a lot more.
If it burns down today, that 20% is likely going to cover the cost of rebuild. Versus if you didn't have it, you're going to get whatever you initially had on that initial premium. And guess what? Your house is worth more than that now.
Exactly.
All right, good stuff. So, again, in case you forgot or got bored or logged off and have come back to us, this is Jacob.Montague. Liberty Mutual, one of my insurance guys who I trust, stopping by with us today. Again, picked it up a little bit there with some energy, but we are having a post-lunch sort of...
Shout out to Boychicks. It's tasty, but
Boychicks Deli, right down here in Innsbruck if you work. Legendary local joint. Tuna melts.
Tuna melts.
Tuna melts. That was an easy order, 2 tuna melts. So, man, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Again, Jake's information is around here somewhere. If you need home, auto, small commercial, pet, yeah, those things.
Do it all.
Or just have general insurance questions. By all means, reach out to Jake. Have fun in Blacksburg tomorrow, buddy.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks for coming by.
Cool.
See you guys later. Take care.